stop resisting.
Put your hands behind your back.
You're under arrest for assault on a...
This lady right here is Barista Yanitza. On March 22nd, 2025, Yanitza clocked in for her regular shift at her local coffee shop. But something about her was off that day. At first glance, nothing immediately stood out. She arrived like she always did, on time, dressed in her usual uniform, hair neatly tied back, moving behind the counter with familiarity. To anyone just walking in, it looked like a normal morning. But as time went on, small things began to feel different. Her movements seemed slightly slower than usual. Her focus didn't seem fully there. And there was a noticeable tension in the way she interacted with her surroundings, like her mind was somewhere else entirely. And while customers continued to walk in and place their orders, those closest to her began to notice. Barista Yanitza was born on January 4th, 1995, in Phoenix, Arizona. She was an only child, raised in a close-knit three-family home filled with love, support, and a strong sense of structure. Her upbringing was described by those around her as stable and nurturing. Family gatherings were frequent. Laughter was constant, and she was always surrounded by people who cared about her well-being. As a child, Yanitza was known for being bright, outgoing, and naturally kind. Teachers often described her as attentive and engaged in class, someone who not only kept up with her schoolwork but also helped others when they struggled. She maintained above-average grades throughout her early education and was consistently involved in school activities, whether it was group projects, events, or extracurricular programs. She had a way of making people feel comfortable around her, something that would later define her interactions in the workplace. As she grew older, that same personality followed her into her teenage years. Jumping to her high school days, Yanitza attended North High School, where she became well known among both students and staff. She was part of the school's volleyball team, where she showed strong teamwork, discipline, and commitment. Whether it was practice or game day, she gave her full effort and supported those around her. Beyond athletics, she was known for her positive energy. People often described her as someone who could lift the mood in a room without even trying. A simple smile, a quick conversation, or a small act of kindness. It all came naturally to her. Academically, she continued to perform at a high level. Balancing school, sports, and her social life, she managed to maintain an impressive academic record. Her dedication paid off, and she graduated with a 4.0 GPA as part of the class of 2013. Following her college career of business management shortly after, Yanitza continued building what seemed like a stable and promising path for herself. Shortly after graduation, in 2014, Yanitza began working at a local coffee shop, a job she would keep for nearly a decade. What started as a simple position quickly turned into something more long-term. Over time, she became one of the most recognized and trusted employees at that location. Coworkers described her as reliable, someone who could be counted on during busy shifts and stressful moments. She was known for her strong work ethic, always staying on task, and making sure things were done properly. But more than that, she genuinely cared about the customers. She made an effort to remember regulars, greet people with a friendly tone, and ensure that every order was handled with attention. Her positive attitude didn't just impact the team. It impacted the business itself. Customers often returned not just for the coffee, but for the experience. Many reviews of the shop mentioned the welcoming environment and the quality of customer service, often highlighting Yanitza by name. To those who worked with her, she wasn't just another employee. She was part of the foundation of that workplace. Which is why what happened on March 22nd, 2025, made even less sense. As the morning progressed, the coffee shop began to fill up. What started as a steady flow of customers quickly turned into a full rush. Orders began stacking up. Voices filled the space. Machines ran continuously. It was a typical busy morning. But something about this one felt different. At first, the mistakes were small. An incorrect name called out. A drink made with the wrong ingredients. An order placed in the wrong spot. things that could normally be brushed off in a fast-paced environment. But then, it kept happening, and it started happening more frequently. Co-workers began exchanging glances. Some stepped in to help correct orders. Others quietly tried to manage the growing line. Yanitsa, who was usually calm under pressure, appeared increasingly overwhelmed. Her movements became more erratic. Her responses shorter, more tense. She seemed distracted, irritated, and unable to keep up with the pace she had handled so many times before. Customers began to pick up on the shift in energy. The atmosphere inside the shop slowly changed. And then, during one of the busiest moments of the morning, everything came to a stop. One customer stepped forward, calm, patient, and simply looking for an update. "Excuse me, can I ask, was the wait time?" At that moment, Yanitsa was already in the middle of preparing another order. A hot cup of coffee in her hand. There was a pause. A brief moment where everything seemed still. And then, without warning, she snapped.
Ma'am, stop resisting.
Put your hands behind your back.
You're under arrest for assault on a
Witnesses reported that her demeanor changed instantly. Her voice raised. Her expression shifted. And before anyone could react, she threw the cup of coffee directly at the customer. The reaction was immediate. Gasps filled the room. People stepped back in shock. Some customers rushed toward the exit. Co-workers froze, unsure of how to respond. The same person who had worked there for years, who had built relationships with customers, had just lashed out in a way no one could have anticipated. It didn't feel real. It didn't match who she had always been. Something was clearly wrong. Police were called to the scene within minutes. By the time officers arrived, the shop was still in a state of confusion and tension. Witnesses began explaining what they saw, each account aligning with the same sequence of events. The customer who had been hit provided a statement, describing how quickly the situation escalated. Co-workers spoke about Yanitsa's behavior throughout the shift, noting how unusual it had been from the very beginning. As officers approached Yanitsa, they began to observe her condition more closely. Her speech seemed off, her reactions delayed, her overall demeanor inconsistent with the situation. It became clear that something more than stress was involved. During the investigation, it was revealed that Yanitsa had reportedly taken narcotics prior to starting her shift that morning, and still chose to clock in. Substances known to affect judgment, increase agitation, and impair emotional control. What initially appeared to be an isolated outburst now had a deeper explanation. A combination of pressure, impairment, and poor decision-making. Based on the statements, the evidence at the scene, and her condition, officers made the decision to place Yanitsa under arrest.
Ma'am, stop resisting.
Put your hands behind your back.
You're under arrest for assault on a
She was charged with aggravated assault on a customer, battery, and being under the influence of drugs while on duty. She was taken into custody that same day. The incident spread quickly throughout the community. For many, it was hard to believe. The person they had known for years, the person who had always been kind, reliable, and consistent, was now at the center of something so serious. Co-workers struggled to process what had happened. Customers who once interacted with her daily were left confused and unsettled. Nearly a decade of work, of trust, of familiarity, all undone in a single moment. Yanitsa was terminated from her position at the coffee shop. Her employment, built over years of dedication, came to an abrupt end. She later faced legal consequences for her actions, receiving charges that would follow her beyond that day. What once seemed like a stable and predictable life changed completely. A single decision, a single moment, leading to consequences that could not be undone. And for those who knew her, it served as a reminder of how quickly everything can change.